Okay, so I'm not offended with the
Let's
separation now.
go to female performer. Finalists there were Hyena Hera, Jazzy Yang, and Angelica Risk. And I can speak that while I have not seen Hera in person, I have seen many of her matches via the internet. She is just incredible with the way she can work a crowd and the way things, and she can just dictate an entire match. Jazzy Yang is quite the belt collector, and you don't just get belts for being popular. You actually have to be good at what you're doing. And I've heard she's good at mentoring young talent as well. And then Angelica Risk, I have seen her on Ricardo's Mucha Lucha shows, and I have seen her all over the state doing all kinds of things. These are probably the three most best represented women's wrestlers in the state.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I think over the last year, 18 months, these three have really just kind of elevated themselves a little bit above the rest of the pack of female wrestlers. You watch them wrestle for a while, and now it really seems like they've gotten their feet under them. They really understand what they're doing, and they're becoming assets to promotions. And
Mm-hmm.
all three have put in just incredible work this year, and all three have done, like I said, they've been assets to everywhere they've been.
Yeah, and for a award that was considered, we were might have considered to drop it several years ago, and the rebound for the female talent in the state has vastly improved over the last couple of years, and you like to see it. Some of the streaming chats that I go into often ask about female wrestlers in other states, and it's always been a point of contention. So to see the talent level increasing, the number of talent in the state increasing, it bodes well for the future.
I got annoyed when they're like it was a award they would consider scrapping, and I just think that no matter what, I don't care if there was only one woman wrestler in the freaking state. Don't ever think about scrapping that award. With all the titles that these men have on these shows, and how it's usually only one title, if any, for women, and knowing that there's like one women's match sometimes, whatever, the matches are limited. Don't you ever think about, and I'm just ashamed. I am disappointed. That's what I am. I'm disappointed that was even said, even thought about, that you were going to get rid of it. Like, I understand, I was very well aware of opinions about women's wrestling in Georgia for a while, but I think it is the job of the people who give these awards and write these articles to give meaning and to justify why it will still exist, or to give motivation as to why more women should rise to the occasion to be better, to be acknowledged by it, or bring awareness to the people who read these articles or listen to podcasts or things like that, of why they should be aware of what women have been doing on the scene. Because the truth of the matter is, there have always been women wrestlers that were really decent in Georgia. Have we always been acknowledged? No. But there was not a point where there shouldn't have been one. Since I've been on the scene, since Danny Jordan was on the scene, which she's won quite a few times. There was One-Eyed, Thick-Eyed, like the Woad, she's been here for quite some time. Dee Dee, who changed her name a few times, was here for quite some time. There were so many women in Georgia that just were not acknowledged, and that's just a few. What's her name? Aja. Has she ever won the award? And she's been around for a while, up until, she was blessed enough to go to freaking WWE and make her coin and make history, because Georgia history wasn't doing it. I'm not mad at them. They're just the message. They're just there. The mentality is deep in a lot of the behind the scenes that make these things happen, or people talk about it. Let's just say that. But the fact that he's saying basically at one point they were going to just scrap the award, now they're seeing the uprise in women wrestling, and that these women are really, really deserving of being nominated and like that. And that's fine. I respect that. That's great. But it's just so disappointing to hear that was even a thought when it shouldn't have been. And shame on Georgia for even thinking that was going to be a possibility. And I can't speak for the whole state of Georgia. It could have just been the people who make the decisions when it comes to the awards yearly. So shame on you for even thinking to get rid of that award. Like, dang, we barely got, half the time we barely even got a match on a card. So take the award. Man, okay, whew, I'm getting aggravated. But you understand, you feel me?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, this award was almost dead a few years ago, and it kind of became the Danny Jordan Award for a little bit. But the females all across the state have stepped up their game, and that's what's made these three step up their game as well. And they've just raised the bar for all the females.
I don't care if it's the same person winning every freaking year. Now, do I think these awards go to the most deserving all the time? I don't think so. But they matter to some. I'm not saying for the sake of tradition that it should just always go, but I'm also kind of saying that because I just don't think it's fair to have a male performer of the year and not a woman performer of the year, because that's the one category that we have to ourselves. So I don't care if it's the same person winning every freaking year. At least it's a representation of the women. And it's sad that in the year of 2026 we just have to be like, well, I'm glad we at least got one award on the board. Who cares who won it? At least we're represented. I get that they may not feel that there are enough women in Georgia to make a women category for all the rest of the other categories, and I get that.